Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's video, I'm going to do a full face makeup tutorial where half my face I've done with high-end makeup and the other half my face I've done with drugstore dupes to get the same look. So I'm wondering if right now you can tell which side is the drugstore side and which side is the high-end side. I think they look pretty darn close. They both look great now, as these things always do in the beginning, but we are going to do a full day wear test on it to see how it wears. So did you guess? So this side of my face cost $500 in makeup and this side of my face was $120. I mean, the drugstore makeup, it is creeping up there that you have to spend $120 to do a full face, but at least it's less than $500, right? And I think that you get pretty much the same look. So let's get started with the tutorial and then I'll be back throughout the day to show you how it wears. All right, let's get started with the sunscreen. For the high-end side, I'm going to use the Anessa Perfect UV Sunscreen Aqua Booster Mild SPF 50 plus PA++++. And on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the La Roche Posay Anthelios 50 Mineral Ultralight Sunscreen Fluid SPF 50. The Anessa sunscreen is a mixture of chemical and mineral sunscreening ingredients. The La Roche Posay sunscreen is an all-mineral sunscreen. Hopefully in the next 15 minutes they will dry back to more normal looking. Alexa, set a 15-minute timer.
15 minutes. Starting now.
In the meantime, we will go ahead and do the eyeshadow primer. On the high-end side, I'm using Too Faced Shadow Insurance, and on the drugstore side, I'm using NYX Proof It. The NYX is waterproof and it really helps to give you more color payout. The Too Faced is very smoothing for older, crepey, hooded lids. Alexa, stop. She stopped. Okay, so let's see. So those are all set up now. They feel good and we can continue with the tutorial. So for the primer, I had used the Hourglass Mineral Veil on the high-end side. On the drugstore side, I'm going to use the Catrice Prime and Fine Pore Refining Anti-Shine Base. I like the Hourglass primer a lot and I find that it works very well with the YSL foundation, but it's not 100% my favorite. As you can see, it does give my skin a little bit of a white cast. And the Catrice I haven't used before, so this will be an interesting experiment, but I liked it that it was white, so it looked kind of similar to the Hourglass. So while we're waiting for the primer to set up, we can go ahead and do the eyeshadow. This way, if there's any fallout from the eyeshadow, it won't affect the face makeup. For the high-end side today, I'm going to use the Dior 5 Colors palette in 757 Dream. And for the drugstore side, I'm going to use the L'Oreal La Palette Nude Intense. I'm going to use my IT Cosmetics brushes on the high-end side and my Beauty Junkees brushes on the drugstore side. So I'm just going to pack on the lightest color in the palette all over the lid to get a nice pale pink base. Put that in the inner corner to brighten that up as well. And bring it up underneath the eyebrows and feather it down into the crease. Now for this one, I'm going to have to mix the pink and the white because this comes out a little bit dark, but this is a little shimmery. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of both and pack those both on together. So the white will lighten it up, but hopefully not add too much shimmer. Where that one has a little bit of shimmer, I'm not going to put it in the midsection here. I'm just going to put a little bit right underneath the eyebrow. Back to the Dior palette with the IT brush, going into the second color. This is the Disguise the Hood color. So that goes in the crease and above the crease. So on the drugstore side, I'm going to use this shade here, third color in the palette, and my Beauty Junkees crease brush. Apply that to the same place in the crease and above. Next, I'm going to use my MAC 221 brush and the third shade in the palette, and that is just going to go to create the outer V. So bring it in at an angle and then just up into the crease, but not above the crease. I use the Beauty Junkees Pro Pencil brush, and I'm going to use a combination of the second to the last color and the sixth color in the palette. This one's a little too purple, this one's a little too brown. If I mix them together, and again, that just goes right in the crease and at the outer corner, bringing it down at an angle to define that outer V. Using Beauty Junkees Pro Taper Blending Brush to blend that out, and a Morphe blending brush to blend out the high-end side. Then I had used the Tiny Sigma Crease Shader with the darkest shade in the palette, really darken up that outer V. And I use the Beauty Junkees pencil brush again and go in with the darkest shade in the palette And then to just brighten up the inner corner on this eye, I'm going to use the sponge tip from this one and the lightest shimmery color to really give that pop of lightness to the inner corner that we got with the Dior palette. And I'll do the same with this. And in the previous tutorial, I had used the gray from the center of the palette on the middle of the eye, but unfortunately, this palette doesn't really have a comparable gray. I mean, there's this one in the middle. This is the Dior gray, and this is the L'Oreal gray, which is much more of a brownish gray, so we'll leave off the gray on this one. All right, let's take a look at the fallout side by side. You see lots of fallout over here on the L'Oreal side, and virtually no fallout over here on the Dior side. I'm kind of bummed we won't be able to get the exact same look, but it's pretty close, and I feel like this one is just a little bit purpley and it doesn't quite have the lightness in there, but they're pretty comparable. You know, if you really can't afford the $62 for one little eyeshadow palette, then that is a decent dupe. So okay, let's move on. For the eyeliners, I use the Sephora Contour Crayon on the high-end eye for the upper waterline, and I'll use the Physicians Formula Shimmer Strips on the drugstore eye. I mean, this is a drugstore price point at only $10, but in this set you get 3 for $10, so pretty good. All right, lower waterline was the Sephora Contour Crayon from the Brushed Metal collection in Silver Coin, and for the lowers on this side will be a silver from the Shimmer Strips, and that really brightens up the lower waterline. And for the liquid liner, I had used my Clinique Pretty Easy liquid eyeliner, and I'm going to try a new one today on the drugstore side that I've been curious about. This is the Revlon ColorStay Liquid Eye Pen Ballpoint. So it's a ballpoint eyeliner, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, I guess it looks good. I feel like it makes like a thicker line, but it's not really a ballpoint where it rolls, so I just have to thicken up this guy so I'm even. Be right back. All right, let's move on to the makeup. I'm going to save the mascara to last. Don't let me forget to put on mascara. For the foundation, on the high-end side, I use the YSL All Hours, and on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the L'Oreal True Match. On the high-end side, I'm going to use the Original Beauty Blender in the nude color, and on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the Real Techniques Blending Sponge. I did a full Foundation Friday on the YSL All Hours foundation, and I really, really love this one. It was one of the best ones that I tested all year. I haven't really looked at too many L'Oreal foundations, and so I thought it was about time that I tried the L'Oreal True Match. It comes in so many colors. I feel like this one doesn't give as much coverage because now I'm on the third spill out. And with the YSL, I only used a half a pump. Oh, my neck's so irritated. I'm using like a red light therapy device on my neck. Is it supposed to really give you irritation? Because, oh my gosh, it's so red and so wrinkly looking. I can't take it. For under eye concealer, on the high-end side, I'm going to use Lancome Effacerne, and on the drugstore side, I'm going to use Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser for dark circles. These two under eye concealers are two of my favorites. They came in number 1 and number 2 in my big under eye concealer testing video. So it'll be interesting today to put them to a head-to-head test and see which one comes out on top. So before that has a chance to wrinkle, let's go ahead and set it. On the high-end side, I'm using It by Pores powder, and on the drugstore side, I'm using the e.l.f. Loose Setting Powder. Next up is a little bronzer. I'm going to use the Makeup Forever powder bronzer on the high-end side and the Wet n Wild Megaglo contour palette on the drugstore side. To apply them, I use my MAC 137 on the high-end side and my Beauty Junkees Pro Duo Fiber on the drugstore side. For the blush, on the high-end side, I had used Bobbi Brown blush in Nectar, and for the drugstore side, the Milani powder blush in Tea Rose. On the high-end side, I'm going to use the Tarte brush from the limited edition brush set, and on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the Pro Multitasker from Beauty Junkees. Sorry, got a hair stuck to my lip. And another one. Oh God, I love this brush, but it sheds like crazy. For the highlighter, I use the Bare Minerals Invisible Glow in medium on the high-end side. And I'm going to try this Catrice highlighting powder in Champagne Campaign on the drugstore side. And what else do we have to do? The mascara and the lips. For the high-end side, I had used the Estee Lauder Sumptuous Knockout. On the drugstore side, I'm going to use the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise, but the waterproof version. All right, we're getting there. Last thing is the lips. On the high-end side, I had used the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Lip Pencil in Naked, or is it Nude? Yep, Naked. And on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the Rimmel Exaggerate Lip Pencil in Innocent. I used the Marc Jacobs Enamored Lip Gloss in Skin Deep. And today on the drugstore side, I'm going to use the Maybelline Vivid Hot Lacquer Gloss in, what is your name, darling? 62 Charmer. So wait, what was this one? Okay, can my brain remember it for 2.5 seconds? Skin Deep and Charmer. They look so similar, yet couldn't find anything exactly like this, but pretty close. This one smells like Wrigley's spearmint gum. This one smells like I don't know. All right, so there is the finished look. I'm going to do a wear test on it, so I'll be back throughout the day to check in. Of course, my computer monitor just went off. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 1:34 p.m.
Oh, thank you. She's so dang handy. I think if you didn't know I was wearing 2 different makeups on each side, I don't think anyone would notice. I think this is a pretty darn good dupe. So I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm going to have lunch. It's snowing out, and I was setting up Christmas decorations. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Having a big salad with tuna for lunch. So good. Hey, cutie. You want to get toweled off? All right, it's check-in time. I think it's a little after 6, so that would make this almost 5 hours. From a distance, the makeup still looks good on both sides, and I think from up close, it all looks pretty good on both sides. So getting close to 5 hours of wear out of both. I'd say they look about equal still, really good. The only thing I'm noticing is right around the edge of my nose here, there's a little bit of wearing off on this side. Neither are settled into lines or wrinkles. And let's look at the under eye concealer. I feel like the Maybelline eye looks a little bit smoother. The Lancome seemed to have those diagonal creases set into it. And here's the mascara and the liners and the Dior eyeshadow versus the drugstore eye. And the lips actually feel about the same. Neither of them feel dried or dried out or anything, so both very creamy and glossy. All right, last check-in for the day. It's 10:30, so this has been on for 9 hours, and I gotta say, I am pretty shocked at how evenly everything is wearing. I mean, I'm really hard-pressed to tell the difference between the drugstore side and the not drugstore side. I think the eyeshadow on both eyes still looks good. It still has a lot of color showing. It still hasn't creased up or anything, and hasn't really faded much on either eye. So good job on those. I haven't had too much flaking. There's a little more flaking, I'd say, on the drugstore side than on the non-drugstore side. And the thing that I would say is the biggest difference is in the under eye concealer, and I gotta say the Maybelline under eye concealer has really worn a lot better and looked a lot better for most of the time. And they are both a little bit worn off now, but definitely the Lancome is a little bit more worn off. All right, so that was a really fun and interesting experiment. I feel like I found a lot of great dupes today for high-end makeup. Of course, if you're a high-end person, then you're going to continue to use your high-end, but if you just can't afford that stuff or don't see the value in it, then I found some great drugstore dupes today that you could give a try. Thanks as always, for watching. You know, I always appreciate your time. So have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.